OneShot is actually quite old at this point. It originally came out for a RPG Maker game contest in 2014, then remade for a proper Steam release in 2016, then ported to consoles in the late half of 2022 in the World Machine Edition. Speaking of the World Machine Edition, that is the version I am playing. I'm doing it on the Switch. I don't know what differences there are. I'm just gonna tell you, that's what I'm playing on. But something that makes this game very original in the scheme of things. Now, games have taken on stuff like this. This isn't the most original thing ever done, but the way this game does it is truly unique. It's breaking the fourth wall. These elements that make it where you as the player play a role in the story. But the way this game does it is that you as the player actually play the role of God in the story. All the characters recognize you as God, which is an interesting idea, actually. And so your mission as this, quotation marks, God, is that you gotta guide the main character of this game, who is Nico, guiding him through this super strange world that he just woke up in that has the lack of a sun. And you carry this light bulb throughout the game where the goal is to get Nico back to wherever his home is and put this light bulb back on top of this giant tower to restore the sun to this world. Of course, I'm simplifying things. There's a lot more details, but I really can't say too much more. So in this review, I'm going to be rating the game based on 3 categories: gameplay, art and music, and the story. But before we get into it, I'd like to give a humongous shout out to Timmy, a good Discord friend of mine who recommended this game to me, so thanks, man. So jumping straight into it, this game's gameplay is simple, but really, really fun. But when I say this game is simple, I really mean that. Like, you can only run around, interact with stuff, and open an inventory where you can select what item you're holding or combine stuff. That is it. There is actually one more thing that you can do, but I don't really consider it part of the moveset. I guess, whatever. You can fast travel in this game, which in the actual Steam release looks very boring. Like, gosh, I cannot remember these location names, but it's a really helpful feature, actually, because once you've already went around the entire map and seen all the areas, it's like a lot of times there'll be a puzzle and you already know exactly where that one item is that you need, but why? It just would be wasting time getting from A to B to collect the item that you already know where it is. Like, you're not exploring or doing anything, you're just walking. While I do enjoy the very, very simple gameplay, and I think there's a lot of reasons to make it simple, and there's a lot of reasons to praise that, I do wish that it was a little bit more complex, a little bit deeper. Because this is very, very stripped down gameplay, extremely simple. And there's nothing wrong with that because the stuff they chose to keep is just the stuff that's necessary. And it all works. But I do at certain points wish there was just more I could do. I can't really tell you what that is, but it is a little bit over simple at points. It's just a joy running around this game's really well designed 3 maps. These being the Barrens, the Glen, and the Refuge. What's interesting about it is that these maps have a lot of details, and they're a lot bigger scale than what's actually required. Like, if you stick to just the story and don't go out of your way to do a little bit of exploring, then yeah, the maps could be a little bit small scale, but there is quite a lot to find, particularly in the Refuge. So this game features puzzles. Well, I mean, this game being a puzzle game, these are pretty challenging, require a good bit of thinking, and, you know, just a little bit of Google. There's a good bit of satisfaction to be had with just kind of a like, oh, well, I need this thing, or combine it with this, and, And speaking of puzzles, talking about the fourth wall breaking stuff, those puzzles are really, really nice. I enjoy them, and I think they're cool and well done, and it makes it where you get to explore this, mock-up operating system in the World Machine Edition. It's fun looking through the files and finding something. Now, it's not super complex. The World Machine Edition made it pretty simple, which makes sense because, this is going to be on consoles. This isn't really going to be for, a wider audience would be on consoles, not just the people on computer. So overall, the gameplay is enjoyable. It is a good time, but definitely not the best part about this game. It's nothing astonishing, really, but it doesn't do anything wrong, really. So now for the art and music. Whew. Yeah, this is where the devs started cooking. Oh my goodness. The art in this game is stunning and really well thought out. All of it feels completely ties together. None of it feels abstract or just completely random out of nowhere. It has a very direct sense of style. All of it fits together extremely well. Now, yes, in a lot of games, stuff just fits together just fine. All the art just kind of is in the same style, but this is everything was meant to go together. Now, I know that's nothing insane, but really, everything fits together so well in the consistent art style throughout the game, even when it's not limited to pixel art. This is still the same style, which blows my mind. Now, when I say style, of course, this is meant to look like watercolor, and it looks really, really nice, but it still looks like the same thing in a way. I can't really explain it, but it doesn't feel like this random, disconnected, completely out of the blue, different take on the art style. It feels like the same thing, but just without the limitations of pixel art, and taking a little bit of a different approach in drawing it. And also, oh my gosh, the character designs in this game are some of the best I have ever seen in a game. The animations for Nico, in particular, are really, really smooth. Yes, it's only 2 frames, it's a very simple walk cycle, but it looks really good, and it somehow looks smooth, even with just those 2 frames. Also, I really, really like the little text box, the face of the character. Oh my gosh, these look so good. Look at how many expressions Nico has. Oh my gosh. I just really like these because it's a cool way to really show what the character looks like when you don't have that advantage with the super small pixel art. Speaking of not being limited to super small pixels, the semi cutscenes in this game where it's a full art piece, oh my gosh, these are, wow. It's amazing, actually. It's a chicken. The chickens, I didn't even realize they had chicken legs until this shot. Now for the music. It fits the theme really, really well. Out of all the instruments used in the soundtrack, I gotta be honest, I think this soft piano used is probably my favorite, and that's probably why it's used the most, because it is a great way of showing the game's theme. This world has completely given up on itself. A lot of characters that you'll interact with straight up say that you should forget it because we're doomed anyways. They have lost all hope. It's such a good way of portraying that, because pianos are just naturally good at playing more melancholic things. And of course, all instruments can play a sad melody, but the way a piano echoes out can really emphasize that feeling. Now, don't get me wrong, there is some happy tracks in this soundtrack, and that is what I love. It's not just dark and depressing the whole time. I will say I do have one problem with the music, and it's not even with the actual composition itself. It's that the music is too loud. I don't mean mixing. The mixing in the game is just fine, but it's so loud that it becomes distorted. And I know that's not the music tracks themselves because the Spotify release is not distorted. And I know it's just not my video recorder or anything. During gameplay, it sounded a little bit crunchy. Just listen to this. Then here is the OST version. See, I don't know why that is. That's just an in-engine issue, I assume. That's my only problem with the audio and just the music in general. Now, in the beginning of this video, I said that the story was going to be best for last. And it is, but I honestly can't tell you that much. I know that's kind of disappointing to hear, and it is. It's not because I don't have an opinion on it or just don't know what I'd say. It's because I can't tell you. There is some videos out there that actually go through the entire story if you would like to be spoiled, but don't do that. I'm just going to completely be transparent with you. This game is best played when you know the least about it. That's why throughout this video I've been trying to restrict showing more than I absolutely have to. I'm trying to keep it very minimal because this game is basically like the spoilers are the game. You can't, there's really not that much there if you already know what the game is. If the game has been spoiled, you basically have received most of the content. And that is why, if you want to play it, you should play it. I hate to be the guy who's just trusts the process, but I've told you the beginning, I've told you the kind of theme of the game, but that's it. I don't know how you could not enjoy it. I mean, I'm a dude who, I literally am biased against this style of game. I don't like these super lore-heavy games that are insanely deep, and I just don't like this style. I've just always thought it was just cliche, and it was just going to be these bad games that were going to get praised because they were breaking the fourth wall and all this other stuff. But I will tell you that this game is good from a dude who is literally biased against this style. This has become one of my favorite games, and yet it is still in this genre. And yet I still am not a fan of this style. Even during playing it, I could already tell that it was going to become one of my new favorite games, and it definitely has. And has earned a easy slot on my top 5 favorite games. And I hope if you choose to play it, that it will be on your favorite games as well. So, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.